wanted to start off on this information that we're getting from south of the border, thanks to the Commerce Secretary's confirmation hearing. In particular, the idea that he's, explicitly tying once again the possibility of these tariffs with the border, and saying that if we can execute on our plan, we might be able that there wouldn't be a tariff. It's the first time we've ever heard something with that level of specificity. I'm wondering, in your meeting with other premiers and the Prime Minister, if the Prime Minister conveyed to you that possibility is real, that we avoid the tariff altogether in the immediacy.
Well, he certainly did. He conveyed that, as you heard from the confirmation hearings, that there was two potential dates, an immediate one that we've heard the President muse about in the past of February 1st, and then one in April. The one in February seems to be tied to actions on our borders, and we were led to believe that if appropriate actions were taken, then the tariffs could be avoided on February 1st. And then, of course, there's the potential for the April date, which, again, seems to be a bit loose, but seems to be more consistent with the President's thoughts on how tariffs and revenues work.
So if I kind of understand it in layman's terms, and correct me if this is not how you get it, the first one's tied to the border. The second one would be about all the other stuff they've invoked with respect to our trading relationship, that study that's supposed to be underway as well until April the 1st. Is that kind of the dividing line?
That's how I understand it right now. And if I can just speak on the borders for a moment. Day one, I said that he was conflating two issues. We need to be protecting borders, not because we're bending the knee to the United States, but because it's important for Canadians. There's far more fentanyl, far more illegal firearms coming north than are going south. So we should be doing this for us. We should be doing this for the Maple Leaf, not for the Stars and Stripes. So if it gives him the so-called win, fine, to preclude tariffs in the immediate term. But this is an important measure for Canadians. And I think anytime we can take fentanyl off the street, we should be.
Is your understanding, though, that there will be a hardening on the other side of the border as well? Because to your point, we're a fraction of the fentanyl that comes, for example, up from Mexico into the United States, less than a percentage. Even illegal migration, though it did increase in 2024 on the northern border, it's just 1.5% of the over. The facts do not bear out necessarily what he is bringing to the table. So what's going to happen, I guess, on the other side of it?
So this has been my problem from day one with a chaotic, irrational actor, is the facts don't matter. So you have to think about what he really wants. And I know I didn't dismiss his initial social post about the 51st state and joking about the governor of the state of Canada as a joke. I don't take that as a joke. I take it as an assault to our independence, an assault to our sovereignty, an attack on our unity and our identity. And you have to wonder, if he's not interested in facts on the border, which, as you just stated, is largely inconsequential. We should be doing it for Canadians. But is, in the grand scheme of border issues with the United States, is certainly shouldn't be his target. He also is dismissing the real trade numbers, and the fact that if you backed energy out, they're in a surplus, we're in a deficit. Maybe we should flip the tables and be having the other conversation. So if he's not interested in facts, and he's not interested in using those facts to craft policy, what is he ultimately trying to extract from Canada? And this has been my concern from day one, a divide and conquer strategy by the President of the United States to extract some unseen and unknown value from the country of Canada right now, which is why it's so important that Canadians stay united and stay strong in our position as a strong and sovereign country.
How united is the Premier's table? How united was it at this meeting?
I think there's a consistency of approach. There's consistency of thought across the entire table. There is a desire to prevent tariffs from happening. And there is, there's obviously regional differences, which makes Canada beautiful. I mean, it's the fact that you have 3 coasts and such a large landmass. Of course, you're going to have differences of opinions. So there is some differences of opinions on strategy. That said, the desire to prevent tariffs is I think everybody's primary objective, and secondarily, if we're going to get past the February date, how we respond is going to be incredibly important. And I think there is unity that the federal government has to be there to support workers and their families, not just in the industries that are directly impacted, but the adjacent industries, the supply chain of those industries. And this is going to require a COVID-style relief package by the federal government. And I know that's going to be tough given the current situation in Parliament. However, I really ask that everybody look at this moment, this historic moment, and park their partisan politics aside to be there for Canadians.
Should the government be bringing back Parliament to ensure that those supports? And I should say, I should point out to our audience, you're a provincial Liberal, they're federal Liberals. There's a lot of criticism at the federal level from the opposition that Parliament isn't in session right now to deal with the possibility of having to support workers in the way that you just described. Should it be?
Look, of course I'm a provincial Liberal and they're federal Liberals, and Lord knows I've had my, my list of disagreements with the federal government, whether it's on Northern Cod, equalization, emissions caps, carbon tax. But this moment deserves the maturity of leaders to come together for the best interests of Canadians. So I would hope the Prime Minister is thinking about that and is reaching out to opposition leaders to try to come together with a truly nonpartisan Team Canada strategy that will allow for any exercise of Parliament to proceed in the best interest of Canadians.
Does that mean, though, that it should be in session, given that something like, for example, as you describe at pandemic level, like the CERB style, if that is necessary with the scale and scope of the tariffs, if in fact that becomes the reality, it would require legislative approval?
Yeah, so I think we need to see what happens first, Vassy. We need to be responsive and responsible and proportional in our response. So right now we're dealing in the hypotheticals. So let's, from a structural response to a governance response, let's wait and see what the actual tariff decision is going to be by the President of the United States. And then I would say that's on the federal leaders to navigate the parliamentary system.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note. Premier Furey, appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
Thanks very much.